بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. So inshallah we are going to be discussing in this chapter فيما يترك به حقائق الألفاظ. So I mentioned to before regarding majaz that a majaz is a word which is used in its non-original meaning, correct? But what causes you or a person or the mujtahid to leave the haqiqah and go to majaz? There must be some kind of context. So we're discussing those things because of which the haqiqah is left and the majaz is taken. Understood? Yes? So if you go back over here, we have our Usool al-Shashi, we're discussing Kitabullah. In Kitabullah, we were discussing how we look at words from how they've been coined. Either khas, mutlaq or muqayyad, or it can be am, مخصوص or غير مخصوص, mushtarak can become mu'awwal via ijtihad or mufassir via tafsir. Then we are on to باعتبار الاستعمال. We said it could be حقيقة or majaz. Now, the kinaya and sarih, we can leave that for now. In حقيقة, we discuss the types of حقيقة. So حقيقة مهجورة, حقيقة متعذرة, and حقيقة مستعملة. So, how do we know the حقيقة? What حقيقة, if the حقيقة is used or not? What makes us leave the حقيقة? If it's mahjura, why is it mahjur? Is it mahjur because of urf, mahjur because of isti'mal, mahjur because, why is it mahjura? Yes? Why is it muta'addira means muta'addira? And musta'mala. So if the حقيقة is musta'mal, then how do you know when it's majaz and when it's حقيقة? Because both are used. So we have to have the context. So in majaz, we discuss how is deputized from majaz, the ways of majaz, and now this chapter comes a bit later. It really connects up to the haqiqah and majaz over there. So quick recap. We have haqiqah mahjura. Now how do we know this is mahjura? Like, why is it not the literal meaning? Why not? We'll learn that in this lesson. This is muta'addira. Why is it muta'addira? And if it's musta'mala, then okay, how do we know when to take the haqiqah and the majaz if both are used? Okay, so faslun فيما يترك به حقائق الألفاظ. The section, the chapter regarding those situations or scenarios where the haqiqah and the literal meaning of the word is left and not taken. وما يترك به حقيقة اللفظ خمسة أنواع. There are 5 places or 5 types or 5 situations where the haqiqah of a word is left. The haqiqah of the word is not used. And this is a summary of the 5. We have here دلالة العرف, دلالة في نفس الكلام, دلالة سياق الكلام, دلالة من قبل المتكلم, and دلالة محل الكلام. There's no point mentioning all of them right now because you won't know what it means. When you go through one by one, then it's sinking into your mind. But just remember that the 5 of them, we'll discuss each one individually. Okay? So far so good? Acha. So the first thing we're discussing is دلالة العرف أحدها. One of the 5 is the denotation of the urf, meaning the usage of urf. Urf means arafa ya'rifu, to recognize. So urf means that custom, that practice, that word usage which is common and known among the people. Do you understand? Why is urf? Now he's explaining here, why is urf a reason to leave the haqiqah? He says وَذَلِكَ لِأَنَّ ثُبُوتَ الْأَحْكَامِ بِالْأَلْفَاظ. This is because ahkam are established via words. No, sorry. This is not the. I made a mistake. This is the mubtada, the ism. Because this is the muta'alliq of thubut. Is the not a khabar. So because proving rulings via words. Is that in translation? So proving rulings via words. How does it occur? إنما كان لدلالة اللفظ على المعنى. It is only because the word denotes the intended meaning of the mutakallim. Al-muradi lil-mutakallim. You have the word. The word is ABC. And the word ABC denotes an idea in the mutakallim's mind. That's why words, you can deduce ahkam from words. Are you following? Like the word, for example, طلقت. طلقت, أعتقت, اشتريت. all of these words denote what the mutakallim in his mind. فهمت? What is his intended meaning? Because of this, you can deduce a ruling. Now we're saying here, فإذا كان المعنى متعارفا بين الناس. So if a meaning, like this word means this, كان ذلك المعنى المتعارف دليلا على أنه هو المراد به. ذلك المعنى المتعارف, that known meaning. So ABC, let's say for example, if you say ABC denotes this. What's that supposed to be? Good. Actually, my art is good enough. Yes? So the word ABC denotes this meaning. So كان ذلك المعنى المتعارف, this word and the معنى المتعارف دليلا على أنه هو المراد به ظاهرا. That is the apparent meaning متكلم said. When متكلم said ABC, for example, yes, when the متكلم said ABC, because in the urf people use this word ABC to denote a tree, for example, that will be the thing. فيترتب عليه الحكم. So based on this we will put the rulings. Basically saying here is that the word denotes a meaning because of people's wada', whatever they have coined the word to mean. If they change the word, we can fight them because we want. I said no, but if they use it in that meaning, it means that. Yes, we can get upset and say, well, people don't speak proper English and English language is going down or whatever. But if they use a word in particular meaning, we have to base a ruling on that. You following? So that's how. So whatever is the urf, people speak because of their mustalah. They have come to terms that this word would mean this meaning. They don't like decide to have a meeting, but that's how the language develops. So the word, and more important than the word, is the meaning, the ma'na al-muta'araf bayna al-nas will determine the meaning. Fahimd? So you can have, for example, the original meaning, like for example, you have the word bad. So the original meaning to mean qabih. Correct? But when you say in Leicester as bare bad or bare wicked, what does that mean? Hasanun jiddan. That's muta'araf, as bare wicked. Or the word wicked means sayyi', evil, musi'. But we say bare wicked, in the context, we say that word bare wicked means hasanun jiddan, jayyid jiddan. That's how the word people speak. Fahimd? Yes? Now, these are some examples which haven't come in the book, but they came previously. For example, we discussed before, in another context, that la adha'u qadami fi darik. I will not place my feet in your house. So we discussed this and the majaz, umumul majaz. Remember this? I will not put my foot in your house. And we said the umumul majaz, so it's umumul majaz. However, the haqiqah is not intended. Why is the haqiqah not intended? Because in the urf of people, when people say, I will not step foot in your house, they don't mean foot, they mean enter. So now, because of the urf, the usage of the word placing my foot in your house is now used to refer to, what's it used to refer to? Dukhul. So the urf has changed the meaning of the sentence. So that's what we said before, whether you enter, whether you put your foot or not, whether you go walking, you have shoes on, you go in the car, you do some kind of zip lines and don't put your foot in the house. So once we enter the house, in the urf of the people, the word la ada'u qadami fi dharik is a majaz. It means now what? La adkhulu. Simply, we also had la ashrubu min al-Nil. I will not drink from the river Nile. So lughatan min ibtida'ul ghaya. So it means directly. So depending on the language, how do people use the structure? Some people may use it meaning that in one urf, it means I may not drink from the Nile directly. And some will say, but even include indirectly, depending on the urf. Are you following? So how would you know what say wallahi, la ashrabu min al-Nil? Now, when does his qasam break? When will he have to give a kafara? Depends on the urf. If the urf of la ashrabu min al-Nil means directly with my hands or directly with my mouth, depends on how the word is used. Because what? The meaning of words depends on the words denote ma'na which a person has in his mind, and the meaning in his mind will be what? The urf. Unless he makes a niyyah. Because in the niyyah, say, well, I meant this, so that's muqaddam. Fahim? That's like mufassar over zahir. Fahim? So now the example from the book. مثاله لو حلف لا يشتري رأسا. He took an oath, I will not buy a head. Again, some of these may be difficult to comprehend because the urf that they use at this time, and these are probably examples in Imam Muhammad's book. So what they call an head, what they call an egg, may be different to our time. So he's going to give an example based on his time. You may say, well, in our urf, it's not as such. I don't know the urf of eggs and heads, etc. So now, فَهُوَ عَلَى مَا تَعَارَفَهُ النَّاسِ. What do people refer to as head in terms of purchasing? So now he's saying, in their time, فَلَا يَحْنَثُ بِرَأْسِ الْأُصْفُورِ وَالْحَمَامَةِ. If a person was to buy a head of a small little bird or a head of a dove, so that's not counted as head in their urf. But ra's, literally, حقيقة, ra's means any, it's a khas word. So any head. So his ra's is khas mutlaq. Fahim? You got it? But the meaning of ra's in their urf, it was maybe a ra's where you get, not rats, R-A-T-S, ratsun. It means maybe a head where you get some meat from. You can cook, you can eat. Yes? These, I don't understand it. We don't understand because it's their urf. Why? What they refer to as ra's. But in their urf, this is not counted as a ra's. Fahim? Yes? You got it? So for example, I will not wear shoes. So for example, you might have different types of shoes. You have open heel. You may have one that is like a mixture of a shoe and you got socks that fit on like a sock, but it's very thick. You know those ones that have like grips. So it depends on what the order is in shoes. Okay? Similarly, لو حلف لا يأكل بيضا. I'm not going to eat an egg. What's an egg? Well, in our order, egg mean what? Chicken egg. So in his time, كان ذلك المتعارف. In our time. But in his urf, in their urf, لا يحنث بتناول بعض العصفور والحمامة. Not بعض, bees. If you have the egg of a sparrow or a dove, will you be hanif in their urf? No. So you're just saying here. Now in our time, we'll apply the same rule. Where a person takes an oath. A simple example of this, it doesn't come into the language, but let's say for example, a person says here, I'm selling you my car for £1,000. Correct? What does car mean? Is the engine included in the urf? Car engine is included. Are the wheels included? Well, wheels are not really part of the car. But urf, the word car refers to the engine, the car, the seat, the windscreen. The only thing you probably take out is probably some seat covers or maybe you have to even leave the radio in as well. You can change the radio, put the original radio. If you got your own radio and you can change the radio, put the original. You can't take the radio out. Because well, that's not the car that I bought. It's a radio. No, but it's a car. It means what you saw. So even the word car means everything as it is. Yes, you understand. So the word car will determine the urf. Right? The mats. Sometimes people play around the mats. You take the mats out. Or they don't give you one key. They don't give you both keys. So again, what does the word car refer to? Are you following? Yes? G. I'm saying a laptop, the computer. So computer would refer to the computer, the CPU, the RAM. Yes? Now, is monitor included or not? Depends on the urf. Yes? Usually it's not included. Usually monitor is separate. But that urf could change. But in a laptop, the screen is included. You can't take them because the screen is separate. But the screen, when it's a laptop, if I'm buying a computer in urf, our urf currently, that I understand it doesn't include the monitor. When you say a laptop, you can't take off the top part and say, well, unscrew the bottom part if it can be unscrewed, and get the bottom part of the keyboard and the thing and leave the screen separately. Because laptop means both. And computer, so it's urf. And all of these must have it according to urf. Fahim? Acha. Now he's mentioning one masala here. He says, وَبِهَذَا ظَهَرَ أَنَّ تَرْكَ الْحَقِيقَةِ لَا يُوجِبُ الْمَسِيرَ إِلَى الْمَجَازِ. Whenever you leave the haqiqah, it doesn't mean you go to a majaz. Whenever you leave the haqiqah, it doesn't mean you go to a majaz. بل rather جاذ أن تثبت به الحقيقة القاصرة. It is possible that the haqiqah word is used but the intended meaning of the متكلم is actually a حقيقة قاصرة. A حقيقة. Okay? Following? Now, you can have a حقيقة and a مجاز. You have a حقيقي meaning. You have a حقيقة, and then here you have a مجاز. Right? Separate. Correct? So the حقيقة mean one thing, مجاز another thing. You can also have umumul majaz. What does that mean? That the حقيقة is included in majaz. And in Balagha this is called what? What's this called? Kinaya. Correct? So you have the حقيقة, and the majaz meaning is actually broader and it includes the حقيقة. Yes? It means the حقيقة plus more. And what's the example of this? لا أضع قدمي في بيتك. So it includes أضع قدمي and it also includes دخول, أي دخول متنعلا أو حافيا, yes, أو راكبا. فهمت؟ And you can have حقيقة وقاصرة. What's حقيقة قاصرة? حقيقة قاصرة is when the حقيقة, you bring حقيقة, but your intended meaning is what? A part of the حقيقة. Like رأس. لا آكل رأسا. لا أشتري رأسا. What's meant by this now? Only certain heads in the urf. So sometimes the حقيقة can be a قاصرة. It doesn't have to be majaz. It can mean, you can say حقيقي word and you mean part of the حقيقي أفراد, not all of them. Are you following? You get it? حقيقة قاصرة is. So umum al-majaz. So a normal حقيقة and a majaz is like this. حقيقة has one meaning and majaz has another meaning. And this scenario, حقيقة and majaz can't come together. You can have an umum al-majaz where, we call it kinaya, where the umum includes, the majaz includes the حقيقة. And you have a حقيقة قاصرة where you only mean some afrad of the حقيقة. And he gives an example for it, then he says, وَمِثَالُ تَقْيِيدُ الْآمِ بِالْبَعْضِ. Don't you have an am? Isn't an am a known meaning? But we say with takhsis, only these afrad are meant. وَالْمُطَلَّقَاتُ يَتَرَبَّصْنَ بِأَنفُسِهِنَّ ثَلَاثَةَ قُرُوء. That the mutallaqat will have to wait for 3 quru. We say the other verse is the takhsis of it. So mutallaqat doesn't mean all mutallaqat. What does it mean? So you can have an am, makhsus, you can have haqiqa, but haqiqa can be qasira. Does that make sense? So لا يشتمل الحقيقة والمجاز is only when the حقيقة and majaz 2 separate meanings. If the حقيقة and the majaz umum al-majaz, the حقيقة and majaz can come together. And if the حقيقة is قاصرة, it's not necessarily, is it called a majaz? It could be called a majaz, but it's حقيقة قاصرة. So the previous example, لا آكل رأسا, is a حقيقة قاصرة. Do you understand that? G, everybody following? Okay, now moving on, the next example. وَكَذَلِكَ لَوْ نَذَرَ. It is an example of حقيقة قاصرة or the main topic, اختلاف. We're not saying it's an example of the main topic, دلالة العرف. The Hasha's got different opinions. I'm not going too deep confusion. If a person says, لَوْ نَذَرَ حَجًّا. Now, again, Hajj lughatan means qasd. So you understand this because we've understood the meaning. In lugha, it means qasada. Meaning, I say before Islam or before in the Arab language, hajja. You say hajja baytahu, meaning he intended to go to his house. Hajja al-hadiqata, meaning he intended to go to the garden. Are you following? Are you following? Abdullah? Yeah? So when you say hajja, in the lugha, the word hajj refers to what? The word hajj refers to intention, qasd. Correct? If you say mashyan ila baytillah, you take a qasam, I will walk to the baytullah. You take a qasam, I will strike my cloth on the hatim of the Kaaba. Again, this is a slogan or a phrase they use in that time. Now in all of this, hajj means I will go. I make it to go somewhere. I make it to walk to the Kaaba. I make it to strike my cloth on the hatim. In their urf, all of this means hajj. So lughatan, if you walk to the baytullah and come back, you say no, in their urf, when they say I will walk to the Kaaba, it means I perform hajj. I will strike my cloth on the hatim of the Kaaba, in their urf, it meant hajj. So again, the examples where The حقيقة meaning is left because in the urf of the people, the معنى المتعارف بين الناس is something else. In this scenario, he will have to do a hajj. If it isn't, not a hajj meaning qasada, but Islamic hajj, a shari'i hajj. He will have, is it water Baytullah? If he walks, it's not enough, you have to do hajj. Because this is the urf of the people. Right? So يلزمه الحج بأفعال معلومة, meaning the hajj not hajj بمعنى قصد, hajj معنى الحج الشرعي لوجود العرف, because in urf this is the intended meaning, this is the known meaning that people use. Does everybody understand this? Okay. Now moving on, the second situation where we leave the haqiqah is because في كلامه, in the kalam itself, there's something to denote that the haqiqi meaning is not intended. Okay? Again, this is simply based on a juz'i and a fara that we have in the Hanafi fiqh before, and he's expanding on that. So the example is, if he says he's passing away, he's got old, he's got a lot of money, or he thought, you know what, كل مملوك لي فهو حر. Every one of my mamluk is free. He just said, no, every one of my slaves is free. And Islam has always encouraged emancipation. So he says, كل مملوك لي فهو حر. Now, if you look at the mamluk, it can be Abdul Mutlaq, meaning a normal slave. Like there's no restrictions on him. You have a mudabbar. Sometimes a person may say, well, a slave, but if this person is so good to me my whole life, that, you know what, when I die, you're free. After I die, you are free. I dabbartuk, I mean, I have made you free after I die. So now, after the person dies, he's going to be free. You have walad. If a person chooses to use the slave girl as a concubine, and she gives birth, now she cannot be sold anymore. The child is linked. The child's lineage is to the father. The child will be free, and the mother is called walad, and she can't be sold. Fahim? Yes. Then you have mukatab. A person says, look, you're very talented. Make me some money, and I'll free you. Pay off your loan. So you cost £500, £1,000, £10,000. Pay me off, and you're free. So you can work. When you start working, pay me off slowly, you can buy your freedom. Or I free half of a person who's he's mukatab, and he's paid off some of his itq, mukatabat money. Yes, so al-mu'taq ba'du meaning he's paid off some of his mukatabat money. Yeah, it can't be half. If you free half, it becomes free. Meaning he's mukatab and he's paid off half of it, for example. So al-mu'taq ba'du is probably al-mukatab alladhi adda ba'da kitabatihi. Now in all of these are all lughatan and urfan, these are all known as mamluk. Fahim? All of these are considered to be mamluk. Fahim? However, if you look at it here, they all have milk al-raqabah, meaning he owns them. Until he doesn't die, the mudabbar walad remain slaves. The mukatab and the one who's paid off some of his aqd, he still has ownership. However, only in these first three does he have tasarruf, meaning he can use them for his own work, or he can decide what to do with them. Correct? And in the Abdul Mutlaq, meaning the Abd has no condition, he's not a mudabbar or walad or mukatab. And in these two he has falriq. When the falriq, that if he can't pay, he's still fully, he doesn't have ownership of tasarruf of his yad. Like his transaction, etc. is free. Because he has to go and make money, isn't it? Like for example, a normal slave, he doesn't have ownership. In Islamic law, previously, the slave doesn't have ownership. Correct? And the mukatab can own money, that's why he can pay back his mukataba. Are you following? But the Abd Mutlaq is full slave, and so he has full riq. Because why? If he can't pay it back, what happens? It's cancelled transaction, becomes a slave again. He can say, well, I can't pay it back, it's too much. I don't want to cancel transaction. But these two are mudabbar ummi walad. They're free, just waiting for him to die. When he dies, then they become free. Because it's the same thing. You know, like, because you have the word slave. If you're a worker, you only entitled to a wage if you fulfill the work. If you're a slave, you have to be fed and clothed and housed, irrespective of whether you work or not. You get it? So, because the word slave is a mushtarak between the Islamic law and the slavery that we had, which is not properly like. So that's why when you use the word slave, it gets really sensitive. Yes. So, anyways, imagine that like, if you're a millionaire, the food that you eat, the food you eat, like basically how your children, how they're clothed, fed, and housed. You have to feed them, house them, and clothe them very similarly. If not, you'll be violating the rights. They can take to court. Anyways, so what we're saying here is that in these al-abdul mutlaq, mukatab and al-mu'taq, in those two, in these two, what happens? The riq is tam, and here the riq is naqis. Now, based on this, what will happen? We say that you can only free somebody. The mamluk is one that has what? You have milk al-raqaba, milk al-yad. So these three are mamluk. Because you have ownership over them, over the raqaba, and you have milk over the yad, the tasarrufat. Because of these two, these three are what? A mamluk. Those are not mamluk. Why? Because you don't have ownership over his yad, meaning over his tasarrufat. You understand? And then mas'ala will be what the farra upon this. I will discuss tomorrow, inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. So yesterday we discussed and we explained the concept of milk and riq. So we said in a mamluk we have different types of mamluk, those which have riq and those that have milkul raqaba and milkul yad. So when you say mamluk, the word mamluk only applies to that abd in which there is milkul raqaba and milkul yad. You have ownership over the raqaba and you also have milk over the tasarruf. In that situation, it's called mamluk kamil. So when a person says, we have the example, he says, إِذَا قَالَ كُلُّ مَمْلُوكٍ لِي فَهُوَ حُرٌّ. That every one of my mamluk is hur, is free. Every one of my mamluk is free. We will say that لَمْ يُعْتَقْ مُكَاتَبُوهُ ya mukatibuhu. Those who have done mukataba with him, they will not be free. Similarly, those who have become partially free via the aqd mukataba. Why is this? Illa idha nawa dukhuluhum. Remember, you have a haqiqah and a majaz, both possibilities. Your knee will take preference unless it's a maqam al-tuhma. You're making up stuff to save yourself. So dominantly is your intention. If you don't have intention, then we look at the kalam. So the word mamluk will not refer to the mukatab. Why? Because it's milkul raqaba, but there's no milkul yad. You have no authority over their tasarrufat. Why? لأن لفظ المملوك مطلق. The word mamluk is mutlaq. And the rule regarding a mutlaq is يراد به الفرد الكامل. When you have a mutlaq, it will mean يراد به الفرد الكامل. Only a complete fard will be included, meaning like a proper full. For example, if you say, give me an apple, you have to give a fard kamil of an apple. Can't give a half or a quarter. So when a word is mutlaq, then the fard kamil will be referred to. So when you say, kullu mamlukin li fahuwa hurrun, then the word mamluk is kamil. So the word itself will denote that what? The mamluk is going to refer to what is mamluk min kulli wajh. وَالْمَمْلُوكُ وَالْمُكَاتَبُ لَيْسَ بِمَمْلُوكٍ مِنْ كُلِّ وَجْهٍ. That one is wrong. Yes? Because there's no milkul raqaba, but there's no milkul yad. Fahimt? Okay. And this is why وَلِهَذَا لَمْ يَجُزْ تَصَرُّفُهُ فِيهِ. You cannot do tasarruf in the mukatab because you don't have milkul yad. And I give an example here. وَلَا يَحِلُّ لَهُ وَطْءُ الْمُكَاتَبَةِ. If she's a female, then what is not permissible? Why? You have no tasarruf, you have no ikhtiyar or tasarruf. So the milk is not kamil. That's why it says the milk in a mukatab is naqis. And the word kullu mamlukin is mutlaq. And mutlaq refers to al-fardul kamil. And in here the milk is not kamil. That's why you don't have these authorities over them. Similarly, another example. So these are three evidences that the word that the mukatab is not a mamluk min kulli wajhin. Three evidences. Number one, you don't have tasarruf over him. Number two, it's not permissible to cohabit with her. Similarly, لو تزوج المكاتب بنت مولاه. So who do we have here? We have the Mawla. He has a daughter, correct? And the daughter then gets married to the Mukatab. فهمت? Yes? ثم مات المولى. Now this he's what? Ownership. ثم مات المولى. The Mawla dies. And when the Mawla dies, who will inherit? وورثته البنت. Now the bint, she inherits her husband. Yes? لم يفسد النكاح. Nikah is not batil. Why? Why is the nikah not batil? وإذا لم يكن, yeah, because why is nikah not batil? Because he's not mamluk. Are you following? If it's a normal state, nikah will be fasid. Because then she's owning her husband. She doesn't own the husband. She has tasarruf over him. So in this situation, the aqd will not become batil. So here, when we say she inherits him, it means she doesn't inherit him. She won't inherit him. In mukataba, there is no inheritance. It doesn't become fasikh, batil, the mukataba. Mukataba rule stays in place, but what she inherit? She inherit the badal, the money that she owed. The money, he has to pay her money, isn't it? The badal mukataba, or the iwas. She will inherit that. She won't inherit the husband. Yes, she'll inherit the husband, ay badal, meaning she'll inherit her money that is due. If now he said what? If, for example, she got married, and before his death, what did he say? I can't pay off. He gave up the mukataba. And then she inherited, then the nikah becomes batil. Null and void. You understand? So when you say here, warithathul bintu, it means here, warithat badla mukatabatihi. She inherits the money due, but she can't inherit him. Fahimt? Yes? So what we're saying here, all three of these situations, all three of these scenarios, these are evidences that a mamluk is not, a mukatab is not mamluk min kulli wajhin. So because not mamluk min kulli wajhin, we will say, when a person says, kullu mamlukin li fahuwa hurrun. So even though it is partial milk, but the dalatul kalam denotes that the murad is those who are mamluk min kulli wajhin. Fahim? Yes, again, this is not a very clear example, because what they're trying to do is a fara mentioned by Imam Muhammad, Imam Abu Yusuf in their books. So they're using that as an example. You follow? To say, well, look, this comes out of the kalam. Why is this masla? It's not a very, very clear example of the nafsi kalam. They give an example which proves a juz'i that they've already mentioned in the mutaqaddimun book. Do you understand? So the summary is, we're leaving the haqiqah. And we say sometimes, so the haqiqah of a mamluk is anything or any person that you own. So if a person said, kullu mamlukin li fahuwa hurrun, then by default, the haqiqah should be, everybody should be free. The mudabbar, the ummul walad, and the mukatab. But they're saying here that in the word mamluk itself, if he made niyyah, no problem. If he made no niyyah, what would the qazi do? The qazi would say that the word mamluk in itself denotes that the haqiqah is not intended, but the majaz is intended. What's the majaz? Mamlukun min kulli al-wujuh. And because of that, mamluk is not included. You following? Yes. So, وَإِذَا لَمْ يَكُنْ مَمْلُوكًا مِنْ كُلِّ وَجْهٍ. When we have proven via these three examples that a mukatab is not mamluk min kulli wajh, لا يدخل تحت لفظ المملوك المطلق. When you say kullu mamlukin, which is mutlaq, he will not enter under that ruling, whatever ruling is. Fahimta? But I said to you before, this is not the clearest example, because the maqsood is not to give the example to understand. The maqsood is to verify and apply it to a fara' mentioned by Imam Muhammad. Fahimt? Acha. وهذا بخلاف المدبر أم الولد. It's contrary to المدبر أم الولد. Will they be free or not? They'll be free. Why? Because the milk is tam. The milk is tam. Why? You have milkul yad and milkul tasarruf. Milkul yad and milkul raqaba. Fahim? فإن الملك فيهما كامل. The ownership in there is kamil. ولهذا هل وطء المدبرة وأم الولد. So you have tasarruf. So milkul raqaba is there, and you also have milkul yad. That's why you can have what is mudabbara and walad. They're still under your milk. Now the question is, well, are they going to be free after he dies? Yes. So we say the nuqsan is not in the milk, the nuqsan is in the riq. That the riq and the riqiyah and the will come to an end as soon as he dies. But currently the milk is tam. You have milkul raqaba and milkul yad. And the riq will come to an end shortly. So he said, إِنَّمَا النُّقْصَانِ that in the walad and the mudabbar, they will become free immediately after his demise. So the milk in his lifetime is how is it? Tam. But the ownership, the riq, what's riq mean? Izatul milk. That will min haythu, the nuqsan is in the riq. In bihaythu annahu yazulu bil maut la mahala. As soon as he dies, what will happen? They both become free. Yes? Now we have some more examples to differentiate. So على هذا قلنا إذا أعتك المكاتب عن كفارة يمينه أو ظهاره جاز. Can you free a mukatab in dhihar? Because why? تحرير رقبة. You have to remove the riq. Is the riq kamil in there? Yes. So جائز. ولا يجوز فيهما إعتاق المدبر وأم الولد. Because al-walad and mudabbar, they're going to be free as soon as they die anyways. You can't free them. Free another one. Because they're going to be free anyways. You can't say, well, they're going to be free, might as well free them right now. Because the mukatab might not be free. He might not be off the price of his freedom. So he will turn back into riq. So you can free him. فهم؟ لأن الواجب هو التحرير. What does tahrir mean? إثبات الحرية, to give emancipation via removing the riq. You understand? Are you following me? So when the riq, there's no riq in here. The riq is naqis. Because as soon as you die, they're going to become free. In here, there is riqun kamil and milkun naqis. And here is riqun naqis and milkun tam. Understood? فإذا كان الرق في المكاتب كاملا كانت تحريره تحريرا من جميع الوجوه. Yes. وفي المدبر وأم الولد لما كان الرق ناقصا لا يكون تحرير من كل الوجوه. So therefore كل مملوك لي فهو حر. مكاتب is not included because he's not مملوك من كل الوجه. And التحرير رقبة you can't do مدبر وأم الولد because there's no riq in the riq is ناقص. The milk is tam. فهم? Does everybody understand this masala? Now we're moving on to where the سياق الكلام. What does سياق mean? سياق يسوق سوقا. The context of the kalam. How the kalam has been brought. The words before it, the words after it, what they denote. And those denotations can change the meaning from حقيقة to majaz. Okay? So وثالث, the third place where the حقيقة of a word can be changed is due to سياق الكلام. Yes, let me give an example here. If your wife says to you, again, this Usool will save you from some problem, getting in trouble with your wife, yes? If your wife says to you, if you're going Asda on America Walmart, yes, get some tea. Now, again, what's the حقيقة of tea? When you say tea, what's the حقيقة of tea? What's the majaz of tea? Okay, and if she say, if you're going chai wala, there's a chai wala in Houston as well, Austin, no? Okay, chai wala is a shop in England, Leicester, UK that sells chai wala. So I can figure out. Now, in these two, the word tea. What is it? Word tea? What's it referred to? Huh? Yeah, this is tea bags, or loose tea. Yes, you get tea bags here, you get in trouble. Yes, go say going chai wala. What is the word before that show? You're going to a restaurant that sells tea. So when she said, get me some tea, if you get some tea bags, she's going to get angry at you. Yes? Why? Because what does she mean here? Meaning a cup of cooked tea. A cup of cooked, nice masala karak tea. Yes? And then nothing from that, it was to get samosas and bhajiyas for her as well. Yes? You get it? So now the word tea is either haqiq. This is the haqiqi meaning. Again, remember the haqiqi can change, isn't it? So, or is it mushtarak? So we say the word tea. We should tell send in the arguments between husband and wife, and we use also to fix the solve of them. Who's right, who's wrong? Now, is it tea? Is it khas or mushtarak? Not in terms of original coinage, but current usage. If it's khas, that means one meaning is fixed. That means, for example, it's khas, and it refers to, let's say, in a country which is like everything is produced, then the haqiqah be what? Tea bags or loose tea. Yes? That's the haqiqah. Correct? And then the majaz is going to be what? I don't think so, because the word tea can be used both ways, isn't it? It's mushtarak. Yes? It's mushtarak. The word tea is mushtarak. It's mushtarak between what? It's mushtarak between multiple meanings. Uncooked. And even uncooked can be between what? Leaves and bags. The cooked, it can be cooked tea, boiled tea, I don't know the word cooked. So it's mushtarak. Fahimt? You got it? So that's mushtarak. So now, and even in uncooked, what's the haqiqah, what's the majaz? We say, well, yes. So now, the siyaq will help you determine the haqiqi meaning. So we're assuming it's haqiqah and majaz. But the siyaq can also help you determine the mushtarak as well, isn't it? So if you take it is haqiqah and majaz, one is haqiqah, one is majaz, then the siyaq helps us determine the haqiqah and the majaz. And if it's mushtarak, even the siyaq helps us determine the meaning of this. So the idea is that siyaqul kalam can help determine the ma'na of the mushtarak tea, and it can also help us determine the meaning of the haqiqah and the majaz, or the mushtarak meaning. Fahim? We've got a few examples here. Imam Muhammad rahmatullah, he gives a few examples in Siyal al-Kabir. He says, if a Muslim, you're having a war, and you're surrounding the fort, and it says, inzil, come down. So if you say to the person, come down, from the fort, he comes down, you can't kill him, you can't attack him, he's free, you're saying inzil means what? Come down and you're free, you will have peace, surrender peacefully. You understand? Yes? But if you say, inzil in kunta rajulan, come down if you're a man. The siyaqul kalam, in kunta rajulan is what? It's telling us that, come, I dare you to fight me, come down and fight me, stop hiding in a fort, come down and fight. So if in those times that happens, you say, inzil in kunta rajulan, and it came down, then you know the rules of aman, he's not come down as a peace treaty. He's not come down surrendering peacefully. He's come down to fight. So the rules of war will apply then. But if you say inzil and he comes down, then you can't do anything. He's come down as surrendering. So now the rules of peace would apply there. You can't, whatever the rules would be then. You can't kill him, you can't attack him. Because why? The siyaqul kalam tells us what the intended meaning is. The context tells what the meaning is. Are you following? So these are some of the rules of international law and war, etc. Imam Muhammad is mentioning Siyal al-Kabir. Similarly, if a harbi, the one you're at war with, is al-aman, al-aman. Aman means peace, surrender. Muslim said, okay, al-aman, al-aman. What does that mean? Okay, you want peace, you want aman, you want to surrender. And the Muslim says, aman, aman. Now again, what's happened now? The way he said it, al-aman, al-aman, he said, okay, aman, aman, we give you aman. Remember, there's language barriers as well. Yes? But if he says, al-aman, yes? And then you reply, aman, سَتَعْلَمُ مَا تَلْقَ غَدًا. You see what happens tomorrow. أَوْ لَا تَعْجَلْ حَتَّى تَرَى. Don't hasten till you see what happens. Now all of these kind of context show this is like threats. So if you say al-aman followed by this shows that you're not really giving aman. This is actually saying, I'll show you. We're gonna continue. And if he says al-aman, al-aman, nothing after it, that's giving what? That's giving a peace treaty to him. Do you understand? So the maqsood is that to understand the haqiqah and the majaz, the context of the sentence will play a part. The context can take the meaning away from haqiqah into majaz. Fahim? So the haqiqah is inzil mean come down and you have peace. But if he says in kunta rajulan, that would mean the majaz meaning. And again, what's haqiqah, what's majaz is not clear, but the main idea is the siyaqul kalam tells you the intended meaning of the mutakallim. Third example. If a person says ishtari li jariyatan li takhdumani. So li takhdumani, buy me, I want to employ somebody, or buy me a slave. Yes, to go and work for me. Yes, before emancipation, buy slaves. So if he said, this is the rule, understand the language here. If he was to say, buy me a slave so she can work for me, he says he makes somebody a wakil. So he doesn't go to the market himself to buy a slave. What does he do? He appoints a wakil, a proxy. Now, if that proxy, he tells the proxy, buy me a slave who can work for me. فاشترى الأمياء أو شلاء لا يجوز. He bought a blind slave or he bought a paralyzed slave. That's not permissible. Why? Because لتخدمني, the سياق الكلام implies and shows that the متكلم then تقييد of the slave. أي لتخدمني. I don't want a جارية مطلقة. I want a جارية تخدمني who can work for me. فهمت؟ Similarly, ولو قال اشتري لي جارية حتى أتأها أي حتى أجامعها. Then فاشترى أخته من الرضاء. أخت من الرضاء مجاملة permissible. فلا يكون الموكل. We say no, the context shows what kind of slave he wanted. So in these two, the سياق الكلام, the تقييد of the mutlaq جارية. So he's mentioned the illa. So this illa, now this taqeed is no longer mutlaq. Are you following me? Is it clear? Acha. وَعَلَى هَذَا قُلْنَا. Based on this we say, when the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, is a hadith. I don't know if the exact words in Bukhari, but the hadith in itself comes in Bukhari. I'm not sure which wording this is. It's in Usool al-Shashi. إِذَا وَقَعَ الذُّبَابُ فِي طَعَامِ أَحَدِكُمْ. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, if food falls in your food, فَمْلِقُوا means like put it fully inside. So you got a cup of water, and the fly falls inside on top. The Prophet said, فَغْمِسُوهُ, put it fully inside. Then take it out. What do? فَمْقُلُوهُ, that put it fully inside. ثُمَّ انْقُلُوهُ, then take it out. Now, فَمْقُلُوهُ, is it مَقَلَ يَمْقُلُوهُ? In the Surah? Huh? No, the مَقَلَ يَمْ, what's on the qaf? Is the harka? I'm not sure it's مَقَلَ يَمْقُلُ or مَقَلَ يَمْقُلُ. Yeah. So he says here, in this situation, what's Masigas famquluhu? Huh? Amr. What's Amr for? That means you have to do it. For him. But after, if you look at the next sentence, the Prophet gave a wajah. فَإِنَّ فِي إِهْدَى جَنَاحَيْهِ دَاءٌ. In one of its wings is an illness. وَفِي الْأُخْرَى دَوَاءٌ. In another one there is cure. وَإِنَّهُ لَيُقَدِّمُ الدَّاءَ لَلدَّوَاء. Usually when the fly goes into the water, what does it do? The wing, which basically, whether they found out yet or not, scientifically, they may have not. But it has an anecdote and it has it's a poison, kind of poison illness germs. So this germ that it causes is found in one wing or one side or one part of it, and it has anecdote and it's anecdote or antidote. So yeah, it has an antidote in the another part of it. Yes? So it's either they've discovered it, if not discovered it, they'll discover it eventually. But the Prophet said it, and if the hadith is sahih, then we believe this. So, now we're saying here, when the amr is for wujub, what's the amr for? Wujub, what does that mean now? What does that mean? You have to do it. But because the Prophet gave us an illah, so let's say for example, he's not going to drink, he's going to throw the water away. And he throws the water away. Does it mean a sin? Because the amr is not wujub now. The context shows us as an irshad. It's a recommendation from the Prophet ﷺ to help us remove illnesses. Now obviously, if you got a place where water is very scarce, and you got a massive bucket, you got a big cup, a jug of water, that's like maybe a quarter of the day's water. You throw it away, it's like you went to the well, you got it, brought it back to the city. You following? So you say, well, you know what? If you're going to use it, do this. But it's not wajib. Because why the context shows it's a amr irshad. It's a recommendation for worldly mashura. For him. So even the amr is for wujub, the context shows it's not a deeni matter. Dalla siyaq al-kalam. The words after it, the words before it, denotes that the maql, dipping the remainder of the fly into the water, is lidaf'il adha anna, is what remove germs, illnesses from us. La li amrin ta'abbudiyyin. It's not an ibadah. Haqqan li shari'i. It's not a sharia, like you have to do this. It's not like, okay, salah, you have to perform salah for the sharia. It's like if you're going to drink this, then the best way to cure yourself or to make sure you avoid the germs and the problem from the fly is to do what? Dip it totally inside. فَلَا يَكُونُ لِلْإِيجَابِ. It will not be for wujub. Do you understand? So from here, the amr, the haqiqi meaning of فَمْقُلُوهُ is حَقِيقَةٌ لِلْأَمْرِ الْوُجُوب. It's for wujub. However, the context shows not amr ta'abbudi. What is it instead? is a mashura. So therefore not amal al-wujub, it's amal al-irshad. فهمت؟ अच्छा. There's another example. In this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, verse number 60, إِنَّمَا الصَّدَقَاتُ لِلْفُقَرَاءِ. Sadaqah is for the fuqara, the masakin, the amil alayha, wal mu'allafati qulubuhum wa fi riqa wal gharim fi sabilillah wa min sabil. Just give me quduri already. Correct? So when we have this mas'ala, that the sadaqah is for the fuqara. Now, the word sadaqah is plural, and then is mentioned for multiple people, meaning the sadaqah should be for all of these people. Are you following? The sadaqah should be for all of these people. Fahim? So the haqiqah of this sigha is that each group should be given sadaqah. Fahim? Yes? But we see the siyaq al-Kalam shows وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَلْمِزُكَ فِي الصَّدَقَاتِ. There are some people who do what? They criticize you regarding the sadaqah. So the ayah before it is telling us that this فَإِنْ أُعْتُوا مِنْهَا رَضُوا. If they are given some of the sadaqah, they become happy. وَإِنْ لَمْ يُعْتَوْا مِنْهَا إِذَا هُمْ يَسْخَطُونَ. If not, they become displeased and unhappy. You follow me? So the siyaq tells us that this verse, the haqiqah of the verse is not intended. The meaning is what? That sadaqah is for these people, not for you. Are you following? So the siyaq which implies that sadaqah is for all of these people. It doesn't mean you have to give sadaqah to every single group. It means sadaqah is for these people, not you. So the not you is a majaz meaning taken from the siyaq. That this verse has been brought to tell us who the sadaqah is entitled to, not who the masarif of zakah is. So the haqiqi meaning, it seems to imply you have to give sadaqah to each group. And your sadaqah must go to every group. You must give some to the fuqara, masakin, the amilin, the mu'allaf, etc. But when you look at the whole verse, the siyaq al-Kalam tells us that what? It's a majazi meaning you don't have to give every single group. Another way of looking at it would be what? It is zahir for the asnaf. No? When you read the text, you think, okay, sadaqah belongs to these people. But the nas is what? To tell us who's not entitled to it. Or the nas is to reject the appeal or the greed of the rich, or the rich semi-weak Muslims, or the munafiqun. So you can look at it that way as well. The nas is muqaddam over the zahir. That's another way of looking at it. But he's put it as haqiqa and majaz. The majaz meaning is intended in here. Fahim? So وَقَوْلُهُ تَعَالَى إِنَّمَا الصَّدَقَاتُ لِلْفُقَرَاءِ. This statement, it comes after وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَلْمِزُكَ فِي الصَّدَقَاتِ. What does that show and denote? يَدُلُّ عَلَىٰ أَنَّ ذِكْرَ الْأَصْنَافِ. That shows that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions all of the types, He's not mentioning it to tell us who we need to give it to, but it's لِقَطْعِ تَمْعِهِمْ مِنَ الصَّدَقَاتِ. It is actually to remove their greed and their expectation of receiving sadaqah. How? بِبَيَانِ الْمَصَارِفِ لَهَا. By explaining who is actually entitled to it. So by mentioning these asnaf, the goal is not to tell us, give everyone. The goal is to tell us who is entitled, not entitled. So the siyaq al-Kalam changes the meaning. فَلَا يَتَوَقَّفُ الْخُرُوجُ عَنِ الْأُهْدَةِ. Uhda means responsibility. Yes? To be absolved of your responsibility. Al-khuruju anil uhda. So to be absolved of your responsibility is not depending on giving every single jama'ah, every single group. Fuqara, masakin, al-mu'allafati al-qulub. Fahimt? So even the zahir may denote that. The siyaq tells us that the majazi meaning is intended. And I told you an easier way would be to do what? Look at it as it's a zahir and a nas. Nas is muqaddam. So that's now the end of siyaq al-Kalam. So tomorrow we discuss the mutakallim's context, how it can help us understand the majazi meaning of a sentence. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. Amma ba'd. So in this lesson, we are discussing dalalatun bidalalatil mutakallim. That the mutakallim's hay'ah. So in the previous state, the word itself denotes the majaz. You're going to have a situation where the context denotes the majaz. Or sometimes the mutakallim himself can denote a majaz. And this is also overlaps with siyaq. Rabi', the fourth place where the haqiqah is left is bidalalatin min qibal al-mutakallim. That the mutakallim himself denotes that what's meant, the The حقيقة is not meant, the majaz is meant. Okay. Example. Now, let me explain the masala, and then after I will tell you what the ishkal is in here. He says here, فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. Now, whoever wishes, they can believe, and whoever wishes, they can disbelieve. Yes? So now here in this situation, فَلْيُؤْمِنْ is a, what's yu'min? What's here guys yu'min? Amr. Amr is for wujub. The first majaz of Amr is what? Ibaha. It's permissibility. Yes? And when you have two Amrs together, what does it denote? Ikhtiyar. You got a choice. Either one of the two of them. Correct? So that means you got a choice between Iman or Kufr. Which means either is permissible. Correct? The minimum, bare minimum of an Amr is Jawaz. If the Mutakallim is telling to do something, that means permissible. But because here, what's the verse after it? The verse after it is, I can't remember the verse after it. وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ إِنَّا أَعْتَدْنَا لِلظَّالِمِينَ نَارًا. So what he's saying in Usool al-Shashi, that the Mutakallim, who's the Mutakallim? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's Hakimun, he's full of wisdom. وَالْكُفْرُ قَبِيحٌ. And to disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what? Qabih, evil, filthy, dirty, wrong, immoral. Yes? وَالْحَكِيمُ لَا يَعْمُرُ بِهِ. A person who's Hakim, he will not instruct or command somebody to do something which is qabih. Therefore, the Mutakallim, فَيُتْرَكُ دَلَالَةُ اللَّفْظِ عَلَى الْأَمْرِ بِحِكْمَةِ الْآمِرِ. So the word denoting the Amr meaning of wujub or even ibaha will be left because of the context. Mutakallim is Hakim. We can also argue that is not بدلالة المتكلم, it's بدلالة السياق. What comes after it? إِنَّا أَعْتَدْنَا لِلظَّالِمِينَ, or ظَالِمِينَ means kafirin. So some have said, maybe in the Hasha, they've said that this is, you can argue this is not, well, everybody knows the majaz meaning is intended, not the haqiqi meaning. But it could be argued, how is the majaz derived? What's the alaqa? What's the qarina of the majaz? The siyaq or dalalat al-mutakallim? You understand? Acha. And he says, well, asah, أن الحقيقة تركت من أجل سياق الكلام, which comes afterwards. Understand? Acha. Second example. وعلى هذا قلنا إذا وكل بشراء اللحم. Now he's not saying anything. For him, remember I gave you the example yesterday. If you're going as the Walmart, get me some tea. If you go to Chai Wala, get me tea. So the context, not the context, yeah, the context, the words before. If you're going as the, what kind of tea do you get from Asda? Tea leaves, tea bags. And if you say, if you're going to Chai Wala, get me tea. So if you're going Chai Wala, the word Chai Wala, the context denotes a cup of tea which has already been prepared. For him? But if he doesn't say anything, but just where you are. Let's say you go, for example, and you ask, and get me some tea. And you're in the shop. What would that mean? Get me some. Which shop? If you're in Asda, it would mean, get me some tea would mean. Because if you say it, then the Siyaq al-Kalam tells you, if you're in Asda, get me some tea. That would mean the Siyaq al-Kalam is implying what? What's it implying, Siyaq al-Kalam? That to get the tea bags or the loose tea or whatever. And if you are in the restaurant, get me some tea would mean ready-made, cooked, not prepared tea. Yes? So here's an example. He doesn't say anything, but he is a musafir. So if he says وَكَّلَ بِشِرَاءِ اللَّحْمِ فَإِنْ كَانَ مُسَافِرًا عَلَى الطَّرِيقِ. He says somebody, look, can you go get me some meat, please? And what is he? A musafir. And where is he? نَزَلَ الطَّرِيقِ, he's in a path. What kind of meat does he want? Cooked meat. فَهُوَ عَلَى الْمَطْبُوخِ أو على المشوي, cooked meat or roasted meat. Because why? The Mutakallim's Dalala denotes that when he says, I want meat, he wants meat he can eat. Because the Musafir is traveling. وَإِنْ كَانَ صَاحِبَ مَنْزِلٍ فَهُوَ عَلَى النَّيْءِ. If he's somebody who's local, in those times to eat, like buy food from outside, normally it's not default. The default is home. So he's saying here, فَهُوَ عَلَى النَّيْءِ, refer to raw meat. For him. So him being a Musafir or him being a Muqim, Sahibu Manzil, these two situations, this is the Mutakallim's Dalala, denotes that he wants raw or cooked meat. That will help you determine the meaning. Right? Common sense, logic. Achha. Number 3. ومن هذا النوع يمين الفور. What does يمين الفور mean? So a yamin is when you take an oath for him that I will not do something for him. For example, I will not eat, I will not drink, I will not sleep, I will not do X, Y, or Z for him. But sometimes, so if I say, for example, لا أشرب الشاي, in terms of the مفعول فيه, is it مطلق or مقيد? مفعول فيه aspect. Very good. So we say here that this is mutlaq, meaning I will not drink tea. No, without the context, ever. I will not drink tea, ever. But what can happen is the context could denote that he doesn't mean what? Forever. He means right now. You know, you come to our house, please have some tea. Please have some tea. Please have some. Wallahi, I'm not going to drink tea. Now leave me alone. What does he mean here? I'm not going to drink tea right now, in your house right now. I mean, stop annoying me. You shouldn't do that. But you get what I'm saying? So when he says, La ashrabu shay, he means, ay, right now. That's called yamin al-fawr. So you say a yamin, I will not do so and so, I will do so and so. And you mean it, even though it's not mentioned. So now you then, is it majaz or is it taqeed? You can argue both ways. But he's saying the yamin al-fawr is min hadha no. Is it whether it's majaz or is taqeedun using min hadha no mean is using dalalatul mutakallim. Dalalul mutakallim li taqeed. You get it? So for example, مثال إذا قال تعال تغدى معي, come, let's eat. Yes? And he said, والله لا أتغدى. غداء, to eat, have a lunch, afternoon meal. What does he say? تعال, come, تغدى معي, come and eat with me. What do you say? والله لا أتغدى. I am not going to. Is communicating yamin al-fawr. Because he said, come and eat. He's pointing to a particular type of food, you see. So even though his oath is mutlaq, I will not eat, and it implies what? Literally implies forever. But we say the mutakallim dalala, that he's refusing that food. We say yansarifu dhalika, i.e. the la ataghadda will refer, yansarifu will refer to al-ghada al-mad'u ilayhi, the food is calling him towards. Ta'al taghadda ma'i. So wallahi la taghadda, I'm not going to, la taghadda, I will not eat. Meaning this food is calling me towards. For him, why? We're using a context to denote or to taqeed of the mutlaq. حتى لو تغدى بعد ذلك في منزله, he goes home and eat. He goes home and eat. I'm not going to have lunch. Yeah. So if he eats, goes to eat somewhere else, he goes home and eats at home, or he eats with the same person, but not the same food. في ذلك اليوم لا يحنث. Why? Because we're saying here the context says والله لا أتغدى ذلك الطعام. Huh? It could be al-an as well, possibly. For him, so it's not mutlaq. The mutakallim's hal denotes that all these quyud. You can tell what he's referring to there and then. You following me? This is misal number 5. I said, isn't it changed? Yeah, no, it's misal number 4. إذا قامت المرأة تريد الخروج. The woman is going to go out the house. Again, shouldn't play around this word, but this is a ruling. And he said, إن خرجت فأنت كذا. If you leave the house, then you have talaq. Now what does it mean here? كان الحكم منصورا على الحال مقصورا يا منصرفا على الحال حتى لو خرجت بعد ذلك لا يحنث. Then is in خرجتي would mean إن خرجتي الآن. Yeah, even it can even refer to a particular place. For example, I'm going to, let's say I'm going to the mall to shop, and he's just fed up with that. Again, you shouldn't do these things. But for example, so if you leave this house, and they're talking about going to the mall, he doesn't mind if he goes to the masjid. He doesn't mind if she goes to the madrasa. She doesn't mind if she goes to the library. For him. So even that could do taqeed of it. For him. Because why? The dalalatul mutakallim. But in there, probably dalalatul siyaq, the word you're talking about. But again, you change the haqiqah, or you doing taqeed of the mutlaq because of what? Context. Does everybody understand so far? Okay. والخامس, the fifth and final situation where the حقيقة is left is where you are. So again, this is very similar. There's overlap. Yes, basically, all of this is context. The context can be in the wording, the context can be in the المتكلم, the context can be where they are. And I mean, even give some examples which are محل الكلام as well, really. We get idea. You get context from the wording, the speaker, the addressee, the location, the topic of conversation. All of these things help in determining whether the حقيقة is meant, the majaz is meant, or it is a مقيد to the mutlaq. Is بدلالة محل الكلام, where the kalam is taking place. بأن كان المحل لا يقبل حقيقة اللفظ. So for example, here محل doesn't mean the physical location. It means a topic. It's not the physical location, like in the masjid or the area. That's probably the mutakallim's hal. It means here what you're talking about. If you're talking about nikah, and she said, "Wahabtu nafsi lak," I give myself to you in nikah. That's why you can't give myself. You're a free woman. So wahaba would mean here, nakahtu. I offer my daughter to you, meaning it's nikah, right? وَمِثَالُهُ إِنْ إِقَادُ نِكَاهِ الْحُرَّةِ. Woman is free, and you use the word bay or hiba or tamliq or sadaqah. Yes, if you use any of these words, and we're talking about the person who it doesn't apply to. So you can't do bay, hiba, tamliq or sadaqah of a hurra. So when a wali says, or she says herself, but you don't use the word bay. So wahabtu nafsi lak. Yes, or mallaktu nafsi lak. Yeah, ahabu nafsi lak. In all of these situations, we say, well, because the mahal, the verb being is referring to a hurra, and a hurra is not a mahal for bay, hiba, tamliq, or sadaqah. So therefore, the context will determine that the meaning is what? The meaning is going to be nikah. Fahim? Similarly, وَقَوْلِي لِأَبْدِهِ وَهُوَ مَعْرُوفُ النَّسَبِ مِنْ غَيْرِ هَذَا مِنْ غَيْرِهِ. So, came before, remember whether it's sahih or not. So if a person says to a slave and he's ma'roof nasab min ghayrihi, somebody else's son, he says hada ibni. What do you say? Hada ibni. Now the mahal doesn't allow him to be ibni. Why? Because everyone knows he's fulan's son. So he's a slave, he says hada ibni. Haqiqah is muta'addira. So what do we say here? It will become what? Majaz, according to Imam Hanifa, Imam Sahibain, depending on the khalf al-haqiqah, khalf al-lafz wa ma'na. وكذا إذا قال لأبده وهو أكبر سنا من المولى هذا ابني. Sahibain will say it's a lagwa, Imam Sahib will say it counts. Yes? Kana majazan. In these two situations, this will be majaz for itq, according to Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi, khilafan sahibain. Because sahibain say what? Ala ma dhakarna. Sahibain say that majaz is khalf al-haqiqah fi al-lafz. Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi said the lafz is sahih, hada ibni is sahih, lughatan nuskan. The text, the context means it's, meaning the grammar is correct. So therefore, what's going to happen? You can take the majaz. And sahiban say in this scenario, akbaru minhu sinnan, the ma'na is not sahih. So therefore, you can't take majaz. Like ikhlaf came before. But in either situation, the mahallul kalam is denoting that the haqiqah is not intended. What is intended instead? The majaz is intended. So in summary, we have context to denote majaz. And you may even find more, but these are the 5 they mentioned. So what we're saying here, the urf. So basically, everything around you denotes this word means this. For example, la akulu ra'san. So the society determines the meaning. Or the word itself, kullu mamlukin li. This is not as easy or not as obvious to us. An example they give, it doesn't really relate to us. So it's hard for us to understand. We get the masla, we accept it, but it isn't really like, for another example on this, you have to find another example that makes it really easy. This is the example they have in the earlier books, that's where they use this. Then we have سياق الكلام, the context before. For example, in kunta rajulan fanzil. If you're a man, come on. It doesn't mean come down, I give you peace. It means come on, if you dare to. Fahim? دلالة من قبل المتكلم. المتكلم, he himself denotes, he says here, لا أتغدى. والله لا أتغدى, meaning the food you're calling me towards. And the last situation is محل الكلام. هذا ابني يا وهبت نفسي لك. In all of these situations, what will happen? These are all contexts to show that the majaz meaning is intended, not the haqiqah. So in reality, this is a discussion which comes after khafi and mushkil and mujmal, etc. But it's really linked to haqiqah and majaz. So you're supposed to have how the words are coined, khas and am, mushtarak ma'awwal, then haqiqah, majaz, sari, kinaya, and this should have come there. And that's what Sayyid Sabas brought it there in his Mabad al-Usool. Even other books as well, they brought it there as well. Those are all حقيقة المجاز. فهمت؟ سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.